Today we're going to talk about 5 things you do not know about Vernon, and we're starting now. I'm Lisa Salt with Remax Vernon Salt Fowler, and today we're going to review 5 things that I'm certain, well, at least I'm pretty sure, you don't, didn't, or may not know about Vernon. And I know many of you won't know this just based on how many times I get asked. Vernon and Coldstream are actually both part of Greater Vernon. Greater Vernon is a conglomeration of municipalities centered on Vernon, with the metropolitan area includes Vernon itself and Coldstream, as well as Coldstream's neighborhood of Lavington. You may know that Coldstream is its own municipality. It has its own mayor. It has its own municipal office. It has its own fire trucks. You pay your taxes to Coldstream, not to Vernon. However, Coldstream still uses many of Vernon's city services and facilities. Usually, if you say you want to live in Vernon, we will assume you are saying Vernon or Coldstream. However, if you say you want to live in Coldstream, we will normally ask if you're open to other areas of town, as Coldstream is more specific, I guess, than the more generic term of Vernon. To look at both areas in a little more detail, let's look at some population numbers. Vernon's population comes in at 44,519. That's just Vernon. That doesn't include Coldstream or any other places in the North Okanagan like Armstrong or Enderby, etc. Coldstream has a much smaller population. According to the census, it's at about 25% the size of Vernon at 11,171 folks. Now let's talk population density for a moment. The land area of Vernon is 95.76 square kilometers, according to Wikipedia. And Vernon has a density of 461.7 per square kilometers. And Coldstream is 66.57 square kilometers, let's say a third smaller, yet it has a population density of only 167.8 square kilometers. To me, that is an interesting fact. There's way fewer people per kilometer in Coldstream. It's much less densely populated. Anyhow, my point is, although Vernon and Coldstream are considered separate, they're separate municipalities. When you talk about Greater Vernon, it includes both places. Number 2 today on our list of things that you don't know about Vernon is Vernon was the #1 city in the Okanagan, not Kelowna. Back in the day, in 1904 actually, Vernon was declared the largest municipality in the Okanagan. At that time, Kelowna and Penticton, they just weren't even incorporated. Vernon incorporated first in 1892. Kelowna wasn't incorporated until 1905 and Penticton 1908. There's a little history lesson for you. That is why you see this beautiful courthouse located just off of downtown Vernon. See, isn't that pretty? Don't act like you're not impressed. Kelowna was just a little backwater place. It was quite an isolated community, while Vernon and Penticton were growing at each end of the lake. All 3 cities' populations grew, with Vernon first being bigger than Kelowna, then Penticton took the top spot, then Kelowna, then back to Penticton when they put in that Hope-Princeton Highway, and that was 1949. Then in 1961, Kelowna got the Okanagan Lake Floating Bridge. That gave Kelowna a bit of a boost. Although the biggest boost was when in 1973, the provincial government forced Kelowna to amalgamate with Mission, Glenmore, and Rutland, and it just hasn't stopped growing since. It's actually predicted that Kelowna won't quit growing either, while Penticton can't really grow because it's bound by the 2 lakes, the Naramata agricultural land, and then the First Nations land. And now Vernon, it doesn't have the advantage of having the shipping and the administrative function that were its base many years ago with the steamships. We do still have the coolest courthouse though. On to number 3. Well, almost, momentarily. Before we do, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video, as we're posting new videos like this every single week, and we would love to have you as a subscriber. On this channel, we give you straight goods on Vernon and the whole Okanagan, our ultimate Four Seasons paradise. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days or just curious about the area that we call home, be sure to call, text, or email and just add salt. By the way, stick around at the end of this video. I'll tell you how to download our free Vernon relocation package. On to number 3. Number 3 is actually kind of related to number 2. It's that the original highway through the Okanagan Valley was actually not a road, but Okanagan Lake. That was the original highway between Vernon and Penticton. Now, this was before the rise of that magical, mystical thing called the automobile. Vernon itself was built as a port for the steamships that used to go back and forth on Okanagan Lake, hauling people and mail and goods. And they would haul them hither and yon to all the stops along the lake, and was basically the commercial highway of the day from 1892 to 1936. From Vernon to Penticton, a steamship ride would take about 8 hours or 16 hours round trip. Wasn't super efficient. However, back in the day, there was probably nothing short of miraculous. The Okanagan Landing area in Vernon was itself developed in 1892 when the Shuswap and Okanagan Railway from Sicamous was completed. It was built as a shipyard to construct and maintain steamships on Okanagan Lake. Then, when the road infrastructure was built, actually, the Kettle Valley Railway to Penticton was completed in 1915, and then the motorways were completed in the 30s at some point. Then all of a sudden, motor transportation took over for passenger service. What started as this shipbuilding facility over 100 years ago is now one of the most popular beaches in Vernon called Paddle Wheel Park. And you can learn all about the steamships at the Station House Museum. It's actually really cool. It's an interesting place to visit. Number 4, Okanagan Lake has freshwater shrimp in the lake. Yes, it is true. The first thing that's true is there is such a thing as freshwater shrimp. I don't know if you know that. They're pretty ugly. And the second thing is they live in Okanagan Lake. But don't worry, they're not gonna nibble on your toes while you're swimming. They are deep, deep down. However, if you're out and about around dusk, you will see these boats heading out and you may wonder what the heck they are doing. Sure enough, these are shrimp boats for freshwater shrimping. In the 60s, these shrimp were brought into Okanagan Lake with the idea that they would feed the kokanee. The kokanee population was declining. However, as it turns out, the shrimp and the kokanee live at different depths in the lake, and instead of the shrimp feeding the kokanee, they started eating all the kokanee's food. And the shrimp population absolutely exploded, and the kokanee just died off. Now the challenge is getting the shrimp out of the lake so that the kokanee can hopefully come back. The shrimp population exploded to such a point that these boats go out at dusk every night in season and put out their nets. And then when the shrimp come out of the depths to eat, then they are netted and turned into fish food. Number 5, Okanagan Lake used to freeze right across. Well, at least in the Vernon arm it did. I remember when I was young, a bit younger, I skated on that lake in the dead of winter many, many hours over many, many years when I was growing up. It kind of surprises me considering I hate the cold and I'm kind of uncoordinated, but I'm here to tell the tale. I'm not sure which years the lake froze all the way across. However, I do know it happened in 1978 and people were actually skating right across the lake. Now let's be clear, that's not very smart. I know there are stories of people falling through the ice, and at least if you're near to the shore, you will get cold and wet feet, but that's about it. In the middle of the lake, you fall through and you're in some serious trouble. There's no question in my mind that something is haywire with the weather, because that lake literally never freezes across anymore, which is kind of a boo. Skating on the lake should be a rite of passage for Okanagan kids. Now, there still is sometimes skating on the lake, just not right across the lake. Climate change, I guess, has robbed us of our frigidly cold, lengthy stretches of winter and cold temperatures with no wind that used to make the lake skatable and like glass all the way across. It was a beautiful thing. And those are my 5 little known things about Vernon. I hope you learned something today that you didn't know before. There's lots more to learn about Vernon though. Make sure to watch our next video about the top reasons to move to Vernon. And in the meantime, download our Vernon relocation package at vernonrelocation.com or click on the link below. Cheers.